Heal to feel. Let's start this journey together. Hi guys, welcome back to Heal to Feel.
What's up?
What's up? Today we got an all-star. We're so happy to have him, Ryan Bailey.
Let's heal and feel.
Welcome to the show.
I mean, truly, I do a podcast every day, and this is already blowing mine out of the water within the first minute. I mean, you got to see the setup. I mean, people at home listening or watching this don't understand the setup you guys have. It's truly insane.
Well, that's the Trevor Gerst. I told you, my husband, he's an all or nothing guy, and we had lunch one day, and I was like, you know, because I've been trying to make these 2 films. I'm like, it's taking so long. I might want to start a podcast. Next day I come, all the equipment's here. I'm like,
God.
wait.
He's making the rest of us men look horrible.
Yes, he does. He does.
No, he's impulsive.
Like all or nothing. I'm nothing. Like I will do the nothing. So it's good to have the all.
Nada.
This is definitely all.
We don't.
So for you guys that don't know, but you know, you're so famous that I think everybody knows.
Yeah, people. Yeah, no.
Ryan has an amazing podcast called So Bad It's Good. Yeah. And how long have you had that for?
With Ryan Bailey.
6 years now. It's been 6 years. It started like right before COVID, but I really started putting myself into it during COVID. But at the time, it wasn't a money-making endeavor. It was just because I loved housewives and pop culture. And I thought, well, you know, let's talk about this, and whoever listens. And it's wild to see that now I get to do this full time.
That's awesome. And you love it.
Great.
I've never loved something more than this.
I love that. So you go on Jeff Lewis's show.
Yeah, lucky
every
to,
week. Who's obviously a mutual friend of all of ours.
Yeah, Mercedes, do you know Jeff?
Which one?
Lewis. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
But, you know, we always get to hear the funny side. And so we wanted to learn, before we get into the fun, like pop culture, we kind of wanted to learn a little about, number one, how you developed this podcast, but also more a little about you and how you grew up. And I was reading the other day that you actually wanted to be an actor.
Well, I wasn't. I mean, I still could act if I wanted to. It's just impossible to get jobs in Los Angeles. But yeah, no, I grew up as an actor. I went to college, got a degree in theater.
You went to ASU, right?
ASU, baby.
Yeah.
Harvard
Now,
of
is
the
that
West.
considered a good school? I'm serious. Like, I really don't know.
You know, I loved it. Like, and I was lucky enough to be there at a time when my mentor, Marshall W. Mason, was teaching there. It was just a
Shout
fluke.
out.
But no, he started off Broadway. Like he discovered actors like William Hurt and Jeff.
Wow. One of
Jeff
my favorites.
Daniels.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorites. One of our everyone's.
True. I
Yeah.
mean, but like he had started
William.
this whole scene in the 70s with this playwright Lamford Wilson. So him and his husband happened to be there right when I started, and it exposed me to so much. Like,
What were they doing there? William
teaching.
Hurt.
They were like
Wow.
one of the heads of the theater department.
No
So
kidding.
It just happened that I was there at the same time, and he would do this thing where in his class, like every Sunday, you would have to pick up the New York Times, read it cover to cover. You know, he would test you on the New York Times, and it was always paying attention to details and specificity.
In Arizona.
At Arizona, yeah. So like, even if it wasn't considered, I mean, and now there's a huge theater department. Like, in fact, I had made fun of ASU a little too much on Jeff's show and my show, where somebody that worked at ASU called me and was like, we'd really like to show you what we have to offer now. Like, and it was, I was like, no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Wow.
And so I went and
I told you you're famous.
Well, I took a tour of like
Yes.
the LA, they have an LA campus now. And it was really amazing. I went and talked about podcasting to the students, and that was so cool for me to
great.
talk to these kids now and what they're getting into, you know, compared to when I was in college, where we didn't have phones. You know, we didn't have cell phones out, and
That's
the internet
cool.
was there, but not to, you know, obviously what it is now.
Yeah.
And also, when I asked the question about is ASU a good school, I'm really fishing for the big story, because you have a tendency to downplay so much about yourself, and I love the humility behind that. But yeah, but some schools are known for being having good college, football, and then some are also just really hard to get into. And so I love we are really interested in your origin story and like the details.
It's funny because I had a girlfriend at the time who, you know, it's like the first love of your life, right? Yeah. And so you're like, oh, it's going to be forever. Oh my God, I've never felt this way. And so I really wanted to go to NYU to Tisch School of the Arts, and she was going to ASU. So I was like, I'm going to ASU. And also my parents lived like, 35
Right down the
minutes
street.
from Tempe. And so that's how it happened. But it just happened, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And it did end up working out really well for so many reasons, because then I met somebody there that brought me to LA, and I worked in extras casting, which Jeff used to work in extras casting.
Really?
When he started off.
As an extra?
I started out extras casting director. So I would cast
Extras.
extras. So
Oh,
big
cool.
crowd scenes, and then we would all give ourselves like the key extra roles.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into Screen Actors Guild
Wow.
through that. But it really opened me up to so many things. And then coming out
That's
here,
fun.
it was either New York or LA, and I chose LA.
How long did you do that? Because I know that that's really got to be like a fun, like a lot of stories come with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you learn really quickly. I mean, it's like funny and it's sad at the same time, because you would have like certain kinds of extras where there'd be the pro extras, like they'd have their chair and their newspaper and they're ready, they're SAG extras, and then you'd have non-union extras, and some of them, they're talking to trees, like they don't even realize what
Yeah.
day it is. Like it would really.
You got to see all walks of life.
Yeah, it was very, but also imagine coming out of college and all of a sudden watching actors like Sean Penn act up close. Or I was on a Showtime, Inherit the Wind, I believe. It was like a production of that Showtime did. And I got to watch Jack Lemmon act every day. Like every day watching this man. And George C. Scott was on that as well. I think it's one
Wow,
of his
he's a-
last roles he ever did.
He's still around, right? Is
No,
he?
he passed away a
Oh,
long
that was
time ago.
that
yeah.
was a good one. He was such a
Yeah.
great actor.
No, but it was like, imagine being and also something about me that feeds into the podcast. I'm a huge movie and TV geek, not reality shows, but just all movies and TV. So being very aware of all of these actors and all of these people, like I knew who these directors were. I knew, I got to work on a movie a long time ago called The Game with Michael Douglas, and David Fincher directed that.
Oh, wow.
That's the guy who did like Fight Club and like all of these
Yeah.
amazing things. And it was seriously, but there is a thing like with anything where you get so comfortable there that it can trap you. Like I wasn't trying to be an actor anymore. I was just working
But
in an office and on set.
Isn't it funny that, everything prepares you for, where you're going to be? Like
Yeah.
I was so shy, and then I had to, like, my dad lost everything. So it went from we had everything to figure it out. And so when I got out of college, it wasn't about, I want to be like a psychologist or all that. And I was like, I just got to make money. So I got into loans and real estate, and you had to cold call. And I remember I'd be whispering at my desk. I was so shy. If someone hung up on me, that would be the end.
Oh, yeah.
But I learned, I was like, okay, I got to make money. And that's where I came out of my shell. Because I was like, I got a cold call. Who cares if they hang up? But it trained me for everything, like being in sales for a good while, because that's how I was
It
making
made
money.
you tough.
Yeah, I did every kind of sale you can imagine. But that's
Oh,
it
I
made
mean-
you more, you have to be outgoing. If you're in sales, even if you're more introverted, you had to learn that. So
Well, I'm that weird introvert extrovert where I can be extroverted in these situations and hold on a conversation, or I can be really wacky on my show. But in person, I'm a very, I can conserve my energy. I get very nervous very quickly.
so you develop what they say, it's like who you are at home is your true essence. And so you develop this defense, because it's like, okay, for example, for me, I think I'm more a little bit, I know how to be outgoing, but I think I'm more introverted, where Trevor, my husband, he comes across more shy on the outside, but at home, he's more of the extrovert. So we develop these defenses to help us navigate the world. But what I want to know is more bring us back to, where were you born?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
have siblings? I want to see what shaped.
Yeah, I
Ryan.
was born in Columbus, Ohio, and that's where my parents met. They met in Columbus. They both grew up there. I only lived there about a year, I think, and then we moved to Denver, Colorado, and
Siblings?
one sister,
Older, younger?
younger sister, and they only lived in Denver for a year and a half. Then we moved to Olathe, Kansas, and that's really where I consider where I grew up. And I was there until 13, and then we moved to Paradise Valley, Arizona.
Oh my God.
And that's when high school started.
Was this because your dad had or mom had
He was
different
a
jobs?
salesman, yeah. So he was getting promoted to different jobs, and so he moved. It's such insane. We grew up on that street in Kansas where it was all kids my age. Everybody, you know, like got along. Like it was a really idyllic, very middle class. And I love that that's how I grew up. But then you go to Arizona and it was a whole different ball game. Like I went from a smaller junior high to a 3,000 person high school. And I had gotten into, like right before, like about a month before school started, I was in Glendale, California, where my uncle used to live, and it was like a family reunion, and he had like this pool slide, and everybody was jumping from the top of the pool slide into the pool, and everybody was doing it, but I'm like nervous about everything. So I was like, I can't do that, you know? And they're like, do it. And so I get up there and I'm like, they're like, Ryan. And I jump and I do it and it goes great. And I'm like, wow, I can do it. And so I go up to do it again. And I was like waving at the video camera because they videotaped this, and my foot was on the middle and not on the side. And I pushed off and I tripped, and the whole left side of my body hit the concrete, and I fell into the pool.
How old were you?
I was 13 years old. And
like right at puberty.
I pass out. I get pulled out of the pool, and they're like, he's going into shock. And the only thing I could remember was, you're going to Disneyland tomorrow. You can't blow this. So I was like, I feel good. I'm good. And so they're like, everybody's looking at me weird because I'm standing up, I'm walking. And it was like, I remember a Sunday afternoon because like 60 Minutes was on the TV show. And I go in and I'm like, God, this is really bad pain. Like, and I don't want to say anything. And I go to the bathroom and all of a sudden just like pissing straight blood. And I scream and everybody comes in, and it turns out I had fractured all the ribs on the side of my body and bruised my kidney. And the whole thing was that I had to go to like, you know, emergency, and I was in a Glendale hospital for like 2 weeks, which that meant like I was at a new school in a rib brace for the first month of school. And so I couldn't dress out for gym. I got made fun of all the time because I was a lot smaller back then, and I looked like I tried to look like Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block because there was this girl, Rachel, that I grew up with on the street in Kansas that I had a huge crush on, and she loved Joey McIntyre. So I had this reverse triangle, huge afro cut, and I didn't look enough like Joey McIntyre to her, but I looked enough like Joey McIntyre so the bullies at school would like throw me into lockers and be like, fucking new kid, and on top of the rib brace. So there are a lot of moments in my life like that, where even when I think I can jump off the slide first and I can do it, then I klutz it up in some way. And that seems to be
So you're learning, like, if I put myself out there, it's negative.
You got to watch it. And that still happens to this day.
Yeah, but that's why you probably developed the whole social anxiety, even
though
you don't come across like that to anyone.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I come across confident.
Well, but even we joke about this on Jeff all the time when we were at your birthday dinner.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Sorry about that, by the way. Where I thought we were in this small group of people that we all knew each other, and I'm a little forgetful. So this lady comes up in our small group, and she was like, "Hey," and I go, "Hey," and I bear hugged her because I thought always
she
be nice.
She was a hostess.
She was the manager at the restaurant, and I did it right in front of Jeff, and Jeff like clocks this, and he's like, "What the hell did you just do?" But I was just like, my mom was like, you always try to be nice to everybody, and you know, like always
inclusive.
Always include people, you know?
Yeah, but that makes you sensitive because of what you went through. Plus, do you feel like every time you got comfortable somewhere, you had to move? It's kind of like a military family almost.
You know, only one time, because I don't remember the Ohio to Denver. I remember Kansas. So that was a big move because I thought, we've got a great thing here. Like as a kid, you know, like it was great. It was so good for your imagination. And I was on a street of all girls. And so that really shaped me as well. I hung out with all girls all the time. And I mean, there were guys there, but I wasn't interested in sports, but I was interested in what the girls were doing, and not in like a sexual way, but just in like, I was always more of what's
like
on
a
TV,
safe,
what's music. No, like, but just
the
like
arts. You were interested in the arts.
Yeah, they were talking about like songs and TV, and that was like really what I was into.
So you were drawn to that from, when would you say you started getting into that? Like,
from like a young, like, I mean, the youngest, I would make my mom do my hair in like a different superhero fashion every day. Like for like Superman, it was like the curly Q. The Hulk would be messy. And then you'd like do slick back looks.
How old?
Oh, this gotta be like 30, 32. No, this is like, No, I was like 6, 7 years old. Like it was
That's
a
so
big,
cute.
it was a big thing, and I was always just obsessed with television. Like,
And was your mom in that?
no. That's why, and I really love my parents for it. That was not their speed at all.
Yeah. Did your
And-
mom work?
Oh, well, not at first. When we moved, well, like when I was about, I think 10, she was the school secretary at my elementary school,
That's
at
so
Scarborough
cute.
Elementary School. And that was very cute. And she would have the principal talk to me for like, it was great. I had this little girlfriend at the time, Lisa O'Connor, who I still know.
Shout out.
And I remember, this is so, cut this out if you need to, but I remember just I was so addicted to television, I would see commercials for when women got their monthly visitors. And it would always be like, oh, is it a heavy flow day?
Oh,
and
God.
so my mom, I don't know why, but she was like, hey, just really be extra loving to Lisa because she got her period for the first time. And I didn't even know really what that meant except for a commercial. So I went to school and I
I'm dead.
said, is it a heavy flow day? And she started bawling, and I was like, and I got called into the principal's office
Oh my God,
my mom
poor
wanted
Ryan.
to teach a lesson to me to really be careful about what I've not learned that lesson, obviously.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it just keeps it's like the same
But your mom,
story over
I
and
mean,
over.
God rest her soul, but she shouldn't have told you that anyone was on their period. You were too
she
young.
shouldn't gossip like that. It's a horrible trait. I mean, it's not a good trait. It
is-
really is her fault at the end of the day.
Now your
I'm
sister, what's the age difference?
They're just like a 3-year age difference.
Were you guys close?
You know what? We get closer as we get older, but she had a whole different journey, and I think that move really affected her a lot more than it did me. Like I was lucky enough. Once I stopped getting bullied every day, I found the theater department. Like even though that was already my thing, but the theater department at these places, that's why the arts are so important. Is that it's a group of people. Like you kind of form a little family, and it really, I had immediate friends. People that wanted to talk with me and hang out with me. And my sister didn't have that. And she really went down a different path where, it was a lot more rebellious. Like I was the good kid and she was the bad kid. And that's really changed. I mean, now she's so smart. She's like a RN going back for a grad degree right now, 2 kids. I mean, truly has this amazing family, but I think that was a lot tougher. And we just weren't, I think she was, I can't speak to this, her, but like we talked about this, where I think she thought it was so easy for me. And, all of a sudden, then it got to a point where I was like the announcement guy every day at high school, where I would come on and be like, hey, this is Ryan with your morning announcement.
See how
Like
everything prepared him?
But she, I think that was really hard for her. Like, I was getting a lot of attention, whether it be for like plays or musicals, and it was very different for her.
Where I grew up, where my best friend, shout out Carrie O'Grady, I hope we can explain to you when we say shout out what the history behind that.
Never heard of this. But
Never heard.
shout out that BFF.
Shout out,
bestie.
But so whenever something good happened to her siblings, it would be clout for all of us. So I think I'm really interested in the dynamic where it's not like that, because like in the movie, the character Josie Grossi, Never Been Kissed.
Yeah, I love that
and
movie.
her brother is like comes into school and he's the stud, but she feels like she's in the shadow, but then he brings her out. So when you talk about moving, I moved as well. And I'm really interested in people in the same experience, same age, that had this insane transition during the beginning of high school, where you were in a really beautiful fishbowl, and then you went to 3,000 kids in a high school.
Yeah.
Because that's similar to Falls Church, Virginia to Beverly High.
How random is that?
I mean,
Who would know
that is.
Scary.
that Mercedes Javid
Yeah.
June was born in, or
Yes,
were you born
born,
there?
yeah.
Born in Virginia.
We
Yeah.
need a special
And
special
crazy.
episode of the Shaw's reboot where you go back to Virginia.
I know, we probably
The
did
Valley
one. Who
Persian
knows?
style.
Yeah, animal style, doggy style. Like Kelly Dodd was like, that sounds like doggy style.
Yeah.
What's the other thing she did when she was making fun of Gina? Really good. Up next.
Coming up. That That's what I was cracking up.
That was so good.
But that's really interesting because they'll say, you know, you could have two siblings that grow up in the same exact house and they have a completely different way of seeing it. You know,
Yeah.
they said, I remember when I went to hypnotherapy school, you know, they're like, two kids can walk outside, siblings, and they're standing on the ledge or just the edge of like the pavement, and a bus comes by and almost hits them. And one could be like, oh, close call, and the other one's traumatized for life. So it's how sensitive you are, how you interpret things, and you can grow up in the exact same household and have a completely different experience. We moved from South Africa when I was 8, but my one brother was 13, and it was like right at puberty, and he became a total introvert and is still like has, you know, social anxiety, and he never came out of his shell. I went from being extroverted to introverted probably all the way up till college. So it just affects everybody.
Yeah.
You know, moving it's
But you know, she don't like. I mean, you know, we just were two different styles from the jump. Even in Kansas, like she would throw, you know, like fits, you know. And I
Yeah.
remember even trying to bribe her of like, just chill out, like keep it.
So
chill.
do you feel like, because sometimes they say one sibling's harder, so the other sibling wants to keep the peace. So they
Yeah,
just
I was
kind
very
of,
much keep the peace.
So, but then the problem is they worry about that person later because what you're taught is just shut up and suppress your feelings to keep the peace in the house.
I mean, I still feel that to this day. Is that like, you know, it's easy to say how I feel with pop culture or
Correct.
reality stars, and I can go hard on them, and I feel pretty okay with that. But then when it gets into real people or real events or even political climate, you know, my thing is I want everybody to get along. Like
Yeah.
even if I don't agree with you, I don't want you hurting. Like,
Yeah.
are you you know, like
Yeah.
like man, we are all one.
Yeah.
Let's find some kind of commonality.
Yeah.
And so that I'll get stomach aches to this day. I mean, just even this week,
Yeah.
that I will sit there and worry about this and spin myself in circles, just like I don't know how to fix this. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that obviously comes from that kind of growing up in that way.
Well,
and
you do
learning,
kind of
like-
admire the people that are like balls to the wall. I don't care how you feel. Like I admire that to some degree. I've just never been able to be like that except for opinions on pop culture.
Have you ever had, because we tie this in, because obviously a lot of like illnesses and dis-ease, as we talked about, you know, can come from suppressing.
Or you about to
and
tell me I'm
holding down.
diseased?
Dis-ease.
I thought there was like a medical checkup on this show. Is that not being
Yeah, we have
offered?
the medical
Yeah.
medium coming in now.
By the way, please.
It's about to walk through the door through
Oh,
the
I'll
villa.
sit there. Leon, I'll sit there and sometimes think of like how many cancers are running through my body right now. Like, I mean, like, so I'll
Yeah,
sit
see,
there.
you're like an over.
no.
Okay, so question for you: have you had any like illnesses or things that have like knocked you down? Where, like, I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to. I mean, I had that situation with the slide where that was like a big.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know that was crazy. But I've been very lucky so far, and I've gotten routine physicals and stuff
Yeah.
that nothing big. I do have developed in the last couple of years a like a AFib on my heart.
Okay.
So sometimes that will kind of really where your heart goes really fast and then goes really slow. And that can be scary. Usually it lasts like around a day, and I have a heart doctor for that. And
Do you
we'll
feel like
keep an eye on that.
something like emotionally will kind of trigger it?
Well, I've been like, because it was not, it's like I don't really drink anymore, except if I'm on an excursion or something. So I thought, oh, maybe it's not drinking. I will say starting to lose weight has really helped, like obviously blood pressure and stuff like that. But it's not something that we've been able to pinpoint it. I wish it would be like, oh, I got really upset right here.
Yeah.
And it's not that, which is even scarier when you can't pinpoint
But
it.
a lot of it, like, so I go to a functional doctor and I'll check in once a week.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. I'll send you his info. But there's so much that occurs in the nervous system that you're unaware of, which is why I go to him once a week when I have time, and he'll just kind of give me a tune-up for 10 minutes. But there's things like he'll come and I'm not even aware of that it went into my body, and he'll be like, who'd you fight with last night? I'm like, oh, crap. Like, he knows everything.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that stuff, I've never really experienced it myself, but I hear stories like that, and I'm like, that's all I'm like that with anybody. Just tell me what's going on. Tell me, I'll do like,
But-
even like
but that's-
plastic surgery. Just tell me what to
But
do to my
that's
face.
how doctors were back in the day. If you walked in with the flu, they'll be like, what's going on at home? You know, like they're missing that component. And I am, you know, my original idea for this podcast actually was to bring, and we might start doing it, was to bring two people of conflicting ideas, right? I'll bring an Eastern doctor and a Western doctor, or, you know, like.
Let's see how long the studio holds
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
But one of the things, you know, that we've kind of learned about the recent events that took place is like, why can't we just have a conversation?
No,
Why has
we
our
don't-
country gotten to this
we
point?
can't have conversations
Yeah,
anymore.
and that's what I admired. Like, that's what we need to bring back. It's okay to have different beliefs, and everybody lives their truth. It's their reality. And most of the people think or know it's their reality. I'm on the good side. What's wrong with you? And they're thinking, but I'm a good person. You're on the wrong side.
And then that
that's
means
okay.
you think I'm a bad person.
Right.
See, and-
but it's not. Everybody's experiencing their own truths.
But don't you notice, like, this is what it is too, is that I had to remind myself, get out of your bubble this weekend, go like have actual conversations with people, because a lot of this not understanding each other derives, I feel, from like social media and from like, you know, not in-person conversations. Like, you know, we were at the Jeff drinks the other night, and it was so great to talk to people face to face. And if you talk to people face to face, man, that gives you a lot of hope, even if you don't have the same ideology as it. But if you're behind your keyboard, you feel free to say the most insane things that my mom would slap the crap out of me if I did that in person. And so, like, maybe I love social media, but I think also maybe we need to actually get out there and speak to each other more.
Because
you know?
there's narratives that go for both sides, and it just has created such a divide, and it's divide and conquer, and you don't want that. We have to kind of come back together.
And it seems like it keeps getting worse rather than getting better.
Yeah, but you know, hopefully we bring in some spirituality and people start to kind of find commonalities, but it's not as like crazy as people think. It's just a lot of it is pushed, and there's a narrative pushed. So
It feels like people want us to be at odds.
they do. I mean, it's
You know,
divide
and
and
that's-
conquer. Like
that's upsetting.
that's what it is. You have more control over people when they're divided and fighting against each other. So I hope, and that's the thing. Like, we've had guests on that have had near-death experiences and have literally gone to the other side for 30-something hours and experienced almost crossing over. And the biggest thing they come back and say is, no one, it's so dumb, but no one realizes like that we are all connected and we're all one. And this illusion of being separate is the first thing they say they realize when they do that crossover. They're like, oh my God, it's so dumb. And like how Anita explained it, she's like, imagine the palm, you know, is where we are, and we're each a finger, but it's like, oh no, we're separate.
Yeah,
we're not part of this like hand, you know? And that's what she learned. I'm like, she died and came back. Like, here is from the mouth of a woman that has been to the other side and back. And I think we just have to all start realizing we're like all created by one, and we're all connected. And every thought, every decision you make will affect the palm of the hand, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Mercedes is about to facepalm her
I'm
head.
like, what's happening? Well, I just wanted to say that my fear of allowing intrusive thoughts and negative things permeate into us and make us sick is enough for me to want to heal. So when, as you guys are describing the day-to-day stresses that you go through, I try to pay attention when I'm experiencing it to really, you have the choice to save yourself, to, you know, heal and seek out the right way to get it taken care of, like, you know, all the way in. And so when you're talking about your stomach ache, I'm like, yes, when we were kids, we would get a stomach ache when we would get anxiety, and we were never taught what that was. And I certainly wasn't. And, or die, like we use that word. You'll probably start using it. Just congratulations, because I
thank
know
you.
you're expecting your
big
baby girl.
announcement.
Yeah,
And
huge.
didn't Scary Sherry call it out at the table
She
that
did.
night?
She was like, "You're going to have a daughter."
She
I
did.
see beautiful eyes. I see beautiful eyes.
Oh, she's gonna have blue eyes.
We'll see.
Does
yeah.
your fiance have blue eyes?
No.
Oh, so she's gonna get your eyes.
Well, I mean, hope that's I told you that's the one thing I have. You know?
When I've been meaning to ask you, when she said that, did you already know that you were
Yeah.
having a girl yet?
Yes.
You did.
Oh, so
So-
you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
you-
that was wild.
Wasn't that interesting? That
It was, and that's what I love. I was like, well, see, my thing with meeting Scary Sherry, because I'd heard about her so much through Jeff and everybody, you know, was that I was like, oh, my fear is this is so weird. I don't know where this started with all psychics, that they're going to see me and be like, bad, horrible energy. You're dying. Like and that's just not how it works at all. Because I was like, once she said that, it was nice. I was like, are you allowed to say bad stuff about me if you feel it?
Yeah.
And, I always will go to the negative. I will be positive for everybody else, and I truly believe that. But for myself, it has been a lifelong battle to try to battle those gremlins in your head or the intrusive thoughts,
it's almost,
And
Right. It's almost a sense of like you're trying to protect yourself, because if you prepare for the worst, you are almost protecting the disappointment. My husband, you'll never hear him say, I'm excited, because he was constantly disappointed as a child. So I think like him not getting excited for something, if it's not good, he's not disappointed. But if it's good, it's a nice little surprise.
Yeah.
But it's a protection.
It is all about survival.
Yeah, it's a survival mechanism. But we want to know, okay, so then you so you're living in Arizona.
Yeah, living in
Arizona.
Arizona.
Then you get into ASU.
Got into ASU. I was
theater.
like I think the one student at ASU that didn't treat it as a party school. Like I didn't drink or smoke at that time. I was strict. I mean, I gained. Well, this is interesting too, because I've yo-yoed a lot of my life in terms of weight as well. I gained the freshman 50, not 15. I was like truly 50 pounds right out of the gate, because I was Manzanita dorm, and they had this thing where they had a full flippin' cafeteria.
Yeah, same in Santa Barbara.
And you had this card where it just gave you access to the cafeteria. So I mean, like I'm doing froyo every day. I'm doing like just lunch meat sandwiches.
Naked in bed, by the way.
Naked
That's
in
how
bed.
you
Yes,
eat now.
exactly. The way I like to eat.
Best.
And then everybody just like Domino's was the big pizza there. Like everybody was getting Domino's every night. And I just exploded in weight. And that was wild to have happen freshman year. But yeah, I mean, then I think by junior year, I had managed to lose the majority of that. And it really kind of opened up things even further for me.
Oh, so
Yeah.
during high school, during college,
yeah.
During college, you lost it. You gained it, but you lost it back.
Yeah.
Okay,
good times.
so after the theater, take us through. So you graduate.
So I
Then
graduated. The choice was you. I remember this was crazy. I went to this thing called ERDAs, where you would audition in New York for grad schools, and I didn't really think a lot about grad schools at the time. But Marshall Mason, who was my mentor there, was really wanting me to go to like Rutgers, because he knew this guy there that ran their program, and so that was really on there. But during the summers, I would go to LA and I would intern at a casting office. And that was great. And like really my first love was TV and film, even though I love theater, but TV and film was like it. And so I went to ERDAs, and you had to do like 2 contrasting monologues. So I did like a Shakespearean and just like a regular monologue. And it turned out I had like 14 interviews, including Blue Man Group, which is hysterical.
Wow.
And so you were supposed to go to these interviews. And then I was like, well, I remember getting all those interviews. I go, I don't want to go to grad school. So I didn't go to any of those interviews, and I just went home.
Wow.
And to me, then it was like, yeah, go to Los Angeles. So we went to Los Angeles.
Who's we?
Me and my girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
So we had stayed together. It was a high school relationship into college. And then, which is very...
Did she go to ASU with you?
Is this the one
that's
you
who-
married?
So it was,
Yeah.
we met in high school. And so that was another thing where so I didn't date at all. Like, once we broke up when I was like, we finally broke up when I was 25, and that actually has been a recurring, like, anyways.
Why did you break up?
Well, I mean, I think, there's a lot of reasons,
Yeah.
but, there was some shenanigans happening, on the others. It was, I think, hurtful for both of us.
Yeah.
But, you're so young at that time, but you feel like it's everything. And it was the best thing in retrospect, because I got to actually start living a life, like
By yourself.
I think.
Wait, did she stay in LA after you
Yeah,
broke
I
up?
think so. Yeah.
What did she end up doing? Do you know?
I don't, I'm one of those people, I don't keep track on you.
Was she
of
in
you,
theater and all that?
Yeah, she was great,
Oh.
all of that stuff.
Share
so
my
she
location
also was-
wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, no, sharing like, this is pre the cell phones that we have. No, I don't, like, I hope she's living the best life ever. Like, it is one of those things time really does heal all of that stuff. And you do start to remember the great things, because there were so many great things, like so many good experiences. Like I always tell the audience, it's like that first time the first time that you love somebody or your heart works that way in that fashion, it knocks you off your feet because it's a muscle like anything else. Is that you just explode? Like I've never had these feelings before. And that's why some of the beauty and the sadness as you get older is that, when you do fall in love again, it's not that same insaneness because your heart's used to that feeling a little bit, you know?
And that's the same thing I texted you over the weekend about being a mom or dad for the first time, is that adrenaline.
Oh, yeah.
That is only the first time. So for the second time, it just isn't going to be the same. And
well, the second time you're like, oh my God, prepare for trauma.
yeah.
No,
You know what to expect. The first time you're like, I can't wait.
You just don't know.
What is interesting to hear all these stories about, raising a child, because you just really feel like you're on that upswing of the roller coaster of like
It's
getting
a whole
to the top.
different, and what you'll be surprised is, it's funny, I look back at my son who's now, 12, but I realize like, that soul came in to support my dreams because I always dreamt of being a director one day in film or, bringing these spiritual stories to the big screens. And we're getting there. But the very first person he brought in was Jenny Poulos. That's how I met Jeff.
Crazy.
And it was through baby class. And then all the other people he's brought me, who I've become close with, happen to be in this field. And it's just crazy. Like I always think like my son's one of my little like soul helpers, you know, on my mission. But you'll be surprised at all the blessings that come in. And sometimes a lot of people are worried about financial and this and that. And it's like that you'll hear, oh my God, everything went through the roof when my child came through. So sometimes they come to help you.
Dude, if
so
my
don't be
child doesn't
surprised.
bring me blessings already, she's going to be in trouble.
Your pod will just wait.
Explode.
You'll
Find a way to monetize
no, but you'll
that.
have other opportunities. I guarantee you through this little beautiful soul. So I have two questions.
Sure.
Sorry.
No, good.
I want to know. Well, let's start with one. But how did you meet Rebecca? You're now
through Hinge. I mean, like it was like a very simple dating site, and I had never done online dating sites before.
eHarmony, Match.
No,
like
just
this.
Hinge, Farmers Only, Kristen Mingle, all of the greats.
Our time.
And we just met at the Village Idiot on Melrose, which is no longer there.
It's an Israeli restaurant now.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, that new one.
And it was great. I mean, like it was. We just really got along. But also, I was in a very different part of my life. And this was like on the tail end of COVID, So it was interesting. So I was married before.
What?
Yeah, I was married before.
Heard it here.
Yeah, I was married before. And so.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean you were married before? We just skipped the whole chunk.
I was
It's
married
like
before.
something
To
people
who?
don't
And
expect.
People don't know. I mean.
Wait, when did this happen? You said you moved to
So
LA.
I
with
think
girlfriend.
we got divorced about like 7-8 years ago.
Okay, but where did that happen? So you moved to
Here. That happened in Los Angeles, in California. That's where we met, and we were married, and we weren't right for each other. I mean, but unfortunately,
how long were you married?
Close to 10 years.
What?
Yeah, very long
Where
time.
did you how did you meet her?
I met her through her sister, who I worked with at Burke Williams, the spa.
Sure.
And
she never said, I want children?
I think there was a conversation at one point, and there was just it was a very bombastic relationship, and I had a lot of fear of her, and that's not. I don't want to speak ill because she's awesome.
You just
and a
didn't
hard
feel like
worker.
you could be yourself.
But also, I'm one of those people, like we established, that I'm like, I just want everybody to be happy. Let's calm it down. Let's,
People pleaser.
Or it would activate me in a certain way. And you do realize there are certain moments that just kind of break things in your mind. And that, like you don't go into anything thinking that it'll eventually end. But it did become harder and harder in my mind for that to be able to continue. And it's really heartbreaking in so many ways because it does feel like a failure. And, I want the best for her. But that wasn't going to be the best for me in the long run. But, it was really messy. And so coming out of that, there was like a year and a half period right before COVID started. And, right before COVID started, the podcast started, and my life was very different. And like, I didn't know, coming out of a marriage, it's just really confusing. I made so many mistakes. I was also very misunderstanding of when somebody wanted to be friends with me and when somebody actually had interest in me. That was very confusing for me. There were so many things that really, with the certain type of insecurity that I've lived with my whole life, it was a mess, And so Rebecca really was the person that was able to bring me back down to earth and to make me feel stable. I've never been afraid of her, which is like I feel comforted with her. And I also just the thing that I love the most about her is that we actually just laugh. You
like each other.
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
people love each other and they don't like each other.
She cracks me up. I didn't laugh the way I laugh with her, and still on a daily basis, even as life stresses happen, there is something that she'll say every day that will actually make me laugh out loud. And it is a completely different relationship that I probably could have only had at this age and this time in my life. And you're like, oh man, I wish I knew all of this younger. I wish I knew how to approach this younger. And I guess to everybody's point, it really is, there's a reason why this is happening now. I just think I wish this was happening in my 20s. Oh my God, how much further along would I be if I was more set in who I was as a person? Because as you get older, you do feel like that time running out, and that's societal to some degree, but you just feel like, oh my God, I wish I had, or even knew about podcasting 5 years earlier, how much further I would be.
I think a lot of people, when I'm not a movie buff like you, but sometimes I'll find a really interesting story about original Hollywood, and a lot of women did have their kids very late. A lot of Hollywood women had them the age that women are starting to have them now. So a lot of people can have that regret where you think, what was I doing running around? Well, you were getting here.
Yeah.
You were getting educated, you were making the mistakes. But what I thought was really cool was the part about you hanging out with a bunch of girls, because I had that similar thing too, where we had guy friends that were totally platonic. There was no, the girls that you were that lived on your street, that you guys could be interested in the same thing, and there was never that fear of being sexualized or hitting on. It was just pure safe.
Yeah.
And
I
so
think
that's why you later in life couldn't tell that someone was hitting on you, because that's where you were.
Truly. And there was that mix of insecurity too, of oh no, this is just purely friend, because that person would never like me, And so that would be a recurring theme where it was just, I couldn't fathom it. And then you're like, oh shit, they do. And you don't know how to tell somebody, there's a lot of situations in my life where not being able to be direct, which I've been able to go to therapy for and learn how to try to be more direct, has hurt me. Trying to save other people's feelings has truly been me almost very selfishly saving myself, because I wasn't strong enough to have tough conversations.
Correct.
And that is something that I've had to learn the hard way as well, is that in reality, I just was protecting myself because I was too scared to have a tough conversation.
Well, and a lot of people avoid confrontation. It's hard.
Oh, with anything.
It's really hard because you've seen negativity with confrontation. But I think one of the biggest things I learned from, again, Anita, because she's just one of my heroes with her story. She had cancer and tumors all over her body, died, and came back after 30 hours, and they all disappeared. She healed herself spiritually on the other side. But she always made herself small. And she always said yes when she really wanted to say no. And she did what everybody else expected and was a people pleaser. And her second book she wanted to call Confessions of a Recovering Doormat, after she died and came back.
Cool.
I always, to this day, I hate that I'm a larger person because I want to make myself as small as possible.
But what she said,
how tall are you?
6 foot.
Yeah, you're tall.
But what
you
she said that really stuck with me was, she said, never say yes when you want to say no, because it is the worst thing you can do because number one, energetically, somebody feels it, right? Like, oh, I have to go. Like, I really don't. And she's like, rather say a gentle no because energetically it's not the right match. And now that person can energetically, their soul picks up on you're doing it against what you want to do. So I really try to now like check in, and I'll catch myself sometimes where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then I'm like, what should I say? And I'm like, no, here's the truth. Like, I won't say I don't want to do that, but like, this is what's going on right now. And I have to check myself and just be like, speak your truth. Like,
By the way, a hack, you guys, is if somebody asks you a question right now, like, do you want to go to the Brio show? It's the water container.
okay.
The Brio, what the hell is going on? The
Right.
Brio show?
If
That's
you,
an MJ comment.
if today you would want to go, if that show were tonight, is how you answer. If your answer is hoping and anticipating to please that person,
Correct.
that you will want to go 2 months from now or 2 weeks from now, you won't. You're gonna feel the way you
Yeah.
do now.
And it's
But-
just getting
So you
rid of the
have to
fear of,
answer
like,
for now.
You don't have to be liked by everybody.
Exactly. And somebody that always wants to
Yes.
be loved by
Because-
everybody.
yeah.
And, you know, it's so funny. It's like learning things so, you know, much later in life, it's really hard. Like learning to say no now or really tell people my real feelings. You're learning these things, you know, people have a good handle on it usually at this point, so they're pretty good at it. Me,
No, you'd be surprised.
But me, I'll end up being like, no, I don't want to go. And then I'll go too tough, and I'll be like, I'm trying to stand up for myself, and they're like, you just freaked me out. I'm like, no, you gotta understand, I don't go to concerts. Like, you don't know how to do it, so it's like riding a tricycle, and you like wobble on it.
Well,
you don't know how.
I try to. I'm getting better at it, but like my husband's really bad at it. Like he'll just say yes to everything, even sometimes when he doesn't want to. But then it like festers, you know. And I'm like, you can't say no in a kind way. You have to say it right away, and it's so hard for him. But nobody.
But if
taught
you
him to
don't,
be
then
your
it
own
comes
advocate.
off very awkward,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting. Or even just we were talking about being liked. It really, until a couple of years ago, I really thought, oh man, I could potentially be liked by everybody. Like, I mean, I really want, why? Like, I want every good for everybody, and then you know, learning very like, yeah, you're not going to be liked by everybody, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
You're
that's a
actually
great thing.
better off if you're not, because then you're doing you and you're doing what you
You're
want.
honestly, back to Anita again. Your only purpose in your life is to be yourself.
Can we get Anita on the phone? I mean, I feel like it should be
call
with
her.
Anita.
But I
mean,
learned
I'm so
so-
sorry, you guys. It's me. It's like, this is-
Scholar. But be yourself. Be yourself.
No, and that it is so. That's what we were joking before we even started. I was like, by the time I hit the casket, I will be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like he
Well,
finally got there. He's
No,
dead
Lucky
now,
for
but
us,
yeah.
though, our life expectancy is much later. So, you know, it's true.
Wait, so how did you start your podcast? That's what we really want
So
to
the
know.
podcast
and then,
really-
and then
okay, so-
MJ's going to ask the fun.
The podcast. I mean, it's really. I did. Okay, so yeah, I was going through my separation and divorce, and I worked at this acting studio, and there was a lot of time, you know, downtime there, and it was the first time I didn't know that there were like Facebook groups like all into housewives and stuff. Like I watched all those shows myself. Like I watched season 1, episode 1 of OC. Like that was just something I knew I'd be into, and I was. But I wasn't out there like having group discussions with people. Like sometimes my buddies, like girlfriends, I'd talk to them about it with, but nothing where
Would
I
your
was
buddies
like,
make fun of you?
yeah, totally. Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
I'm sure.
Because I wasn't into the sports. I would
Yeah.
go there for camaraderie, but I was so bored with the whole thing. And I discovered there are all these Facebook groups talking about housewives, and I would be able to go in there, make a pithy little joke, and like be a little snarky.
Did you get fights with people
No,
on
I was
those
never
pages?
a fighter, really.
But there were people that would
Oh
fight with
God,
each-
yeah, you saw that pretty much off the bat. But it really brought me great joy and solace during a darker period of my life. And then
Divorce?
What's that?
The divorce?
Yeah, and
was the dark.
it was great. Like I was like, oh man, they're all talking about these characters or like these little moments that I loved, and I didn't know this huge group existed.
Right.
And then my one friend at the time had like a podcast company, and I started doing a Kardashian podcast with somebody, and I'd never watched Kardashians before. So I think like the take was like she was an expert, I wasn't, and that was a lot of fun. And then that kind of ended. And I really didn't think, and this was like 2019, and I just thought, I don't think I have it enough to do a solo show. Like, I don't know if and then I had talked to a therapist, and they were like, just try it. And Danny Pellegrino actually was the one that was like,
Shout
I was
out.
like, I don't think I can do this. And he was like, just take your phone out, do a voice memo, and just talk. See if you can talk for like 5 minutes. And I was able to talk for 15 minutes. And I was like, sent it to him and a couple people, and they're like, yeah, this is fine, you know? And I actually have that first 15 minutes still that when we celebrated 5 years, I went and found it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And then it started. It was like right before COVID. And I really loved it, but I was working a full-time job. And I would come home and we would release on like Tuesdays, or so like Monday night I'd be up till like 6 a.m. editing, doing it all myself. Wow. Thank God we didn't have to worry about any kind of video element at the time. My computer would crash when I would try to process audio. But man, I had never loved something more. And then we went into COVID and I was like, crap, like what do we do now? Everybody's living out of these rooms. And so I started doing, because I grew up on like drive time radio, I started doing 6-hour podcasts.
What?
So I would do like, I'd have a handful of guests that I'd do separate interviews for. I'd have my parents on. I would do little comedy bits. And I put it together like a 6-hour show. And I'd be like, here you go. And it was, you know, like, do whatever you want with this, you guys. Hopefully this helps with whatever's happening now. And that kind of got a little attention. And I was being really snarky on Instagram, making a bunch of memes about housewives. And that was
Yeah,
going
they're
well.
hard. They're harsh.
You start to get like a little bit of a following.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, coming from somebody that didn't really have a following ever, like I wasn't like big on Instagram or any like my personal account, nor was I trying to be. And then it was like we were all sitting in these rooms 24/7, and it became this weird kind of obsession where it was like, it was really fun. I was like constantly online. I mean, you know, forming relationships with all these other different content creators, doing the podcast. And then I got let go from my job at the acting studio because it's like we couldn't go in anymore. We were trying to run a business for actors online. And I had been there at that point for 13 years. So I got let go, and that turned out to be the best damn thing that ever could have happened. And I got picked up by iHeart because somebody recommended me, or a division of iHeart. And so I started being able to make money from it.
That's amazing.
Which I never got into this to make a dollar. Like there was never a thought. I was like, this will be a hobby. And I was like, whoa, I can do this fully. And so then it became like a daily show. I moved to Betches Media a couple years ago, and that's when we're like starting to like, my mom had been sick for 3 years, and then there was like the period where my mom died, but I was starting Betches at the same time, which was this great opportunity, and they were so great with me during that time period. And then I decided to move, and now I'm with this company S71. And also during that, right after the mom stuff, I was able to meet Jeff, and my life is so different now. Like it is completely different. You know, I'm so ensconced now in my relationship with Rebecca. We're about to have a child this next year, and my life is nothing what I could have ever imagined it. But I always tell the audience, like, I'm good right here. Like, if the universe wants me to get bigger or whatever, that'll happen. But if I could just stay here and be able to talk about these things that I like and just share my opinion, or I know you guys. Are you kidding me? Like I get to talk to Mercedes. I used to watch Mercedes on TV. Like I get to actually know her as a person, or I get to like hang out with, like, I feel like, and this is like a life coach will always tell me, like, put yourself out there, and not in terms of like success, but I would always close myself off. And my friend group all had kids and kind of went their separate ways. And we're still all friends, but we don't hang out anymore. So meeting Jeff was like this ability, not just to be on this amazing radio show, but to make friends. Mm-hmm. And to really say, you know, I've had to tell people like awkwardly, because I don't, you know, I'd be like, Doug, I really love our friendship. You know, like you're like, I really love, or we were talking about Jamie, where I was like, man, I hope Jamie's okay, because I really like Jamie. Like,
yeah, it's like a camaraderie, and it's like a little family that he's
It
really
is.
And where I
together.
used to, you know, reminding myself to invest in these things, you know, like this is where the real riches come from, is investing in these relationships and being able to come to these people if you do have an issue or something. And that to me is mind blowing. So it's like saying yes to everything. This stuff is easy to say yes to. I worked a real job at one point. Like that's tough.
Yeah.
You know, coming and talking on a podcast,
How
Easy.
did you get, you've had some unbelievable, reality stars and all types of people on your show.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? And was that like, oh my God, am I really doing this? Because
Oh, yeah,
you
but
grew up watching it and
the best, at first that's insane,
Yeah.
know, and it's like now looking back like 6 years ago, it was like, I remember those first asks over social media before.
so you would DM them? Is that
I
how
would
you
DM them,
get?
which if you know me, that's a really hard thing to do because I hate asking things of people. Which, by the way,
mouths don't get fed.
Mercedes said yes 4 years ago. Guess who hasn't still been on my podcast?
Oh my gosh.
Guess who still? And Mercedes will be
What a
like,
flake,
you know what?
man.
On the show, I actually put that I can do your podcast. That's great. Have you ever done the podcast? Like, it's so
I
funny.
did a
Mercedes is so funny when she gets. She's like,
She
I
killed
put that I could do your podcast. You told me that 2 years ago. Like, you're so wild. Like,
That's so funny.
Anyways,
But every time, because every time I see you, I'm like, talk to me. Tell me your story.
I'm like,
I always want to know
trying
everything.
to talk to you. What are you talking about? So at first, those are like big things, and then you realize in retrospect, like, oh, that's not a big deal. It's like not, like they want to talk.
Yeah.
But as it moves up, I mean, I will say, always the best conversations are going to be with another content creator or just a regular person. Like I used to have my parents on all the time. They were beloved by my audience, and those are the moments that I really. Now I'm kind of in this cycle where I love doing research for a guest or watching a documentary and stuff, and I'll have really fantastic conversations. But those things, like they're looking to promote things. You know how the PR cycle works. And sometimes those are like not the ones that stand out for me, like the ones are like when you laugh yourself ridiculously or somebody's like saying something about, that expands your mind.
What's one of the best interviews you've ever, like one of your all-time favorite?
Gosh, all-time favorite. That's really tough. I mean, really, I got to tell you, I know that sounds so corny, but it really is my parents. Like, the mic will give you some magical ability to have conversations that you cannot have in real life.
Totally.
Like, I would not get to know, like, my parents in the way I'd gotten to know them those years during COVID, if not for the podcast.
And that's such a gift because it's all recorded. You can
it's-
give it to your daughter and be like, you get to know your
I know,
grandmother.
I know.
So
I've only listened to my mom's voice once or twice since then because I couldn't. But she was on like 68 times on the show, and so much so that when she was on her journey, I remember, and she was a real proud person, didn't really ask anything of anybody, and one of my listeners had sent me a card for her, and it really cheered her up. And I noticed that, and I said, hey, would you like more cards from people? Would that be something? And I knew the answer was going to be no, but she was like, you know what? Yeah, I would. And that really scared me because that was very unlike my mom. And I told the audience, and we got over 1,000 cards,
Wow.
postcards, blankets, like all of this stuff. And so at her memorial, we had my sister put together this whole section of the thing with all the listeners' cards and
Oh, that's
postcards.
incredible.
And she would just sit there and read these things. And it was really, I love that part of it so much. In retrospect, sometimes it's really hard to have shared what I did share about my mom because so many people know that aspect of it when sometimes you want to kind of hide it or people still.
But I mean, there's so many people you could change their lives because they're going through it or they've been through
that's
it. And, just
really-
bringing that sense of, connection. We've had Shinka, the medium, on, and we did an Instagram live the other day. Shout out Shinka.
Shout out
But
Shinka.
it was incredible because we wanted to test this because she's so spot on. She's like Tyler Henry. Like, she's incredible. And we said, let's try this Instagram live thing. And we had about 100 people log on.
Wow, that's great.
And we picked 3 different people to read, and we split the screen so you could see Shinka and the person she was reading, and spot on, and everyone was watching. I mean, she didn't miss one question. The way they come from the other side and give them information, and it was like spot on. She didn't know anyone there. Like, if you're ever open to it, and you want to connect with your mom, it has brought, I mean, you can ask Yvette, MJ, they've all been read. Just people you've loved. My brother-in-law have come through and said things you would never be able to know. But they give you messages to show you,
Yeah.
you know, I'm right here. I'm seeing what you're doing. I'm helping you. And they always say when you are having a child and they're on the other side, that they bring through and
They
help
better.
bring through the
Yeah.
child.
I really don't get, I always am looking for signs, and I really haven't gotten, I mean, maybe I have, you know, and everything's a blessing at this point, but, you know, that's, you know, I wish she was physically here right now, just at this time period specifically, because this is something that she had really wanted for me, and this wasn't in the cards. Like, this wasn't a plan. This wasn't like,
So it was your mom's plan.
But you know,
She
but you know what
did
I'm saying? Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't like, let's get in this relationship and
Yeah.
have a kid. Like, this came kind of naturally through discussion and all of this stuff. But there was a 10-year period where I was like, oh, that's not going to happen in this lifetime. You know, like, I was really like, oh, I won't have a child, and that's okay. I was totally fine with that. But to think this is an actual reality, and she, I just for the manpower alone, I would have put her to work, and I'm really sad that she's not physically.
Well,
gonna do
I
without
will
me.
say I understand the physical part, but I will say that whenever they communicate from the other side, I've seen so many readings, and they all say, I can do so much more for you on this side than that side.
Well, like,
So,
yeah, I'm calling in some favor. Come on, then,
yeah,
Mom. Like, what are you?
she'll bring you somebody that will help you
Yeah.
guys or whatever it is.
No,
but-
I feel so blessed at this point,
Yeah.
but man, you know, just in terms of, you know, deep feelings and struggle and sadness, I've done a lot of that in this last 2 years, because we just celebrated her 2 year. It's like, how many anniversaries? Like, we celebrate her birthday still, we celebrate the death day. Like, I wish we could just whittle it down to one day, but I've thought about it so much in these last 2 years, and this is probably one of that's affected me the most, but also has helped me grow the most.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like
Yeah.
very different than who I was 2 years ago in a lot of ways.
And I will say, even for your daughter that's going to come into this world, you know, my husband lost his mom when she was in her 40s from breast cancer. And then he lost his brother. We lost him in COVID, and he was in his 40s. So it was like two big blows, you know? And we used to, I didn't realize, but my husband would get so upset right around her birthday, and I never knew why. He'd like be in a mood. And then I realized, wait a minute, like, we need to celebrate your mom. So my kids know Granny Gail, you know, she's in heaven.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
But what's crazy is, so we bring balloons and we celebrate and we blow out candles and we bring her favorite foods. And so they're like, oh, it's Granny Gail's birthday. But what's so crazy is Trevor's brother would call me and be like, that's so cool that you do that for my mom. I love it so much. And so it's like, now we do that for Brad, and it's still, I can't even comprehend that he's not here and it's been 5 years,
Yeah.
but we do it on his birthday. We go to his favorite steakhouse. We, you know, bring balloons, and like, I know he's watching and I see the
Yeah.
signs. He always shows me his birthday on license plates, you know.
There's a real, not a resignation, but there's a more happiness now. Like, I mean, just,
Yeah.
you don't even realize until like a year afterwards, there was like a real, like, a PTSD, because I was there in person for those last couple of weeks, and we did, you know, she passed at home, and, you know, that last week of watching somebody completely change, like watching physically, you know, like deadlifting your mother that can't communicate. And I had never seen anything like that in my life. And like, it was like, my sister lives a couple miles from my dad, but it was just me and my dad for those first couple of days. And we had hospice, but hospice was on a call basis. It wasn't like 24/7 hospice. And when they had first met on a Friday, they said, well, this is going to be a couple months. Like, and it was like, she was still communicating, talking, being like real, you know, strong. And they're like, you know, this is going to be a couple months till everything's vitals. And within a week, she had passed. And so every day from that Friday, so it was me and my dad for that first 4 days. And each night it got bonked. It was like a horror film. Like, and you're going on so little sleep, you know, and she was such a strong woman. She would try to walk and then fall and hurt herself. And you're realizing, you know, just the brain completely changes. You know, you're hearing her, you know, curse you out and curse this, like, but in stumbled speech. And it was, and so it really takes a while to get over that last
really
week
hard.
and to remember the other, like the decades and decades of amazingness
Everything else, yeah.
that was there, and that's what I sometimes get angry about, of like, oh, for somebody that really prided themselves on how they looked, how they, it's like, I know she didn't want to go out like that, but there was no other way.
Actually, when they come through mediums, a lot of the time they'll come through in their 30s, like where they're like, they want you to, because you'll see Shinka will describe, like, and you're like, yeah, that's how she was in her, and that's how they want you to remember them. So
and by the way, that's how I do, but it really does take a while to get over that last
That's traumatizing.
Week,
to go through somebody and you went through it, to go and you went through it, like, to see somebody, it's different. Like, we lost his brother-in-law, it's a quick shock. But like, to see somebody slowly that their end, like, I can't imagine. I know all you guys went through.
But there's also like this innate comedy to it too, of like where we're trying to get mom to the bathroom and you have to stand, like, I'm deadlifting her to stand her up, and my dad's trying to get a diaper on her, but he can't get the diaper, keeps falling, and I'm like, damn it, Dad, put the diaper on mom, like, and you're realizing like this is a comedy of errors at the end, and she's like checked out, but at the same time she's like, these two fucking goofballs, like, I'm just trying to get a diaper on right now, like, and you're like, I just remember going in like this other room, it would just be wild, and then it was like that Thursday, she passed on a Friday. That Thursday, we had finally gotten a hospital bed in there, and she had, was not communicating at that point. It had gotten really fast. But even through like her legs and like the oxygen flow, it still looked like they were like, oh, it's going to be weeks and weeks. She's just not going to be communicative. And I was supposed to start this job at Betches. And, her last words to me were like, go, go, go. Because she was so proud of this. She saw this podcast get built up. Like, she was so proud of this podcast. But I remember she was not communicative, and then my niece and nephew, they came over to the hospital bed in my parents' bedroom, and she is totally out, and we were all walking in, and my niece and nephew walking in, mom goes, I love you, and like her light, and then she just went down.
That's so common. Everybody talks about, like, right before they pass, they get this like spurt of energy.
Well, she didn't do it for me, Liat. She did it for my stupid niece and nephew.
Well, she knows,
No, but that was the.
But they'll get like a spurt of. Everybody talks about it. I don't know but they spurt of energy, sit up, and people are like, "Oh my god!" And they say it, and then back down.
And they were all. I had to run out of that, and I was so like it was. This is, you're watching a movie all of a sudden. And I had never had that kind of overwhelming, like, when you're like a kid, we're like, like you can't even breathe.
But I'm glad you got it out.
No, it's still there. Let's heal to feel. What are you talking about?
We're going to stop. Next time we'll just bring Shinka on and
to heal.
I do this all the time. I feel like I really overtalk.
No,
so I'm sorry.
Honestly, I loved having you here. We would love to have you back so we can have the fun stuff.
We barely scratched the surface.
But we like to go deep. And, we get that fun side of you, and we get that on Jeff, and we get that on, your podcast, So Bad It's Good. So I'm glad we got to know Ryan a little better.
I love it.
And we want to have you back.
Yeah,
so.
anytime. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you guys scared of me now?
I loved it.
Okay.
I mean,
stop. That's the old Ryan.
Yeah.
That's the old Ryan.
No, this is not our first
So where
rodeo.
can everybody get your podcast?
Oh, yeah. It's
and Instagram and all that.
It's called So Bad It's Good.
That's your Instagram handle?
So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. Very long Instagram handle, but it's like silly memes and stuff. But the podcast, it's like 5 days a week. Check out what you want. We do a roundup of pop culture on Monday. I do Salt Lake City and OC recaps. We'll have guests for like documentaries and things and books. So it's really a great mixed bag. So just pick and choose what you want to listen to, if you want to listen to, but no pressure. But I will say, I say this on all podcasts, whatever about me, this podcast that you're listening to or watching right now, go hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And because you think you're like, oh, they don't need the help. They're fine. Look at the studio. It's amazing. Everybody needs help.
Thanks,
Rate
Ryan.
this podcast 5 stars. It's the freest thing that you can do to support a podcast. And I know that sounds silly, but just so you know, that really helps with placement. It helps putting it in other people's feeds. I've learned that the hard way over the years. So that's a really, really helpful thing that this audience can do for this show, so you can continue to listen to me cry about my mom.
Thank you, Ryan. And also, we are speaking of that, our YouTube was under a different thing, like a different user, so we had to take all our YouTube and
Oh.
relaunch it. So we lost all the views.
So
all
go
the
resubscribe to that
subscribers.
too.
So please, thank you.
Oh, and I have a YouTube as well, but it's not as good as this YouTube. But if you want to
better.
see this beautiful visage talk housewives, it's there. Yeah.
We like his long hair. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys. We'll see you
Thanks
next
for being
time.
here.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of Heal to Feel. You can write in and ask your questions on our show's IG page at H2F Pod, and we'll address your questions on next week's episode. If this episode helped you, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family. Share the fun with all those that can benefit from a good laugh or cry with us. Please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we would greatly appreciate you.